92% of households that start the year with Peloton are still active a year later.
92% because of a bike?
Not just bikes. We also make treadmills and rowers.
Oh, let me guess, for elite athletes only, right?
Nope. It doesn't matter if you're an avid exerciser or new to working out. Peloton can help you achieve your fitness goals. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try Peloton bikes, tread, or row risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Hook Rocks. This is Jay Scott. Hope everyone is relaxing in between the holidays, enjoying themselves. New Year's is coming up here, a couple days away. Christmas is now a distant memory. And we have Mr. Chris Riccardo once again on the podcast. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm good. We had Chris on last time to discuss how cover bands impact a local original rock scene. He also did the intro for Kodiak. And now we have him back to discuss one of our favorite artists, and that is Butch Walker.
Yes. The man, the myth, the legend.
Yes, he is a legend. And, you know, there's that meme out there, or meme out there, I don't know how you pronounce it, what the correct pronunciation is, but it's out there that says there are two types of people in this world. Those that know Butch Walker and those that have not heard him yet or heard any of his music. And
well, the thing is they really have. They just don't know it.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize how much of in terms of popular music, whether it's Keith Urban, whether it's Pink, whether it's Fall Out Boy, whether it's Train, whether it's the Struts, he has had his hand in a lot of music that people listen to on the producing side, on the production side. What people don't realize is that he's got a solo career. It completely kicks ass. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's definitely someone. He's the best thing you've never known. You know.
Yeah.
And even his original stuff is to me, it's just the coolest stuff out there. It really is. I had the Spotify year-end "What did you listen to the most" thing come up, and if it wasn't because I'm doing a Weezer tribute band, it would have been Butch Walker because he came in second. But I know the only reason why Weezer won is because we're constantly reviewing the tunes and things like that. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And Better Now, the cover of Post Malone's Better Now was my number one listen to Butch Walker track. Because I think I put it on one night and fell asleep and just had it on repeat. But anyway.
So did he cover that song or did he produce it?
No, he covered it. He's done that a few times. He'll just kind of go in the studio, and I think he literally does these things in a day. He'll play all the instruments, sing all the vocals, and do all the production. He does it in like a day, like a work day, and then he puts these things out for fun. He did that with Taylor Swift's "You Belong to Me," and it's such a better version than Taylor Swift's version. And Better Now, I think, is better than Post Malone's version.
Yeah. Well, let's go back. Let's start with the history of Butch, right? I mean, Butch Walker fans know the history of Butch Walker, but he came from Cartersville, Georgia. Him and his band back in the late 80s flew out to L.A., just like a lot of other bands back in that day, to find stardom, to find success, to get a record deal. And he was successful in doing that with the band South Gang.
Southside, which was Bite the Bullet before they got to L.A.
Yes, yeah.
with a Y. With a Y.
With a Y. Bite with a Y, the bullet.
That's what you had to do back in the days. You made things, put Z's on the end instead of S's and things like that.
That was, that was
back in the 80s.
Yes, that was fashionable.
The good old days.
Fashionable. But he talks about that period. They had one, I don't know if you call it a hit, but it was a hit maybe with fans of that genre.
Sure.
And that was the song
Tainted Angel.
Tainted Angel.
It's a way to sneak in taint into a song title.
That was, yes. Very good job, Butch. Good job. But he talks about that era, and he talks about him and his band, South Gang, coming along at the wrong time, but also at the right time, because they didn't really have a lot of recognizable success. And what that meant to him and his career was it allowed him to not be pigeonholed like some of the other artists that did have recognizable success prior to him. Whether it's
that makes sense.
Whether it's the Warrants, whether it's the Great Whites, or whether it's any of those bands, all those bands. Let's use Tom Kiefer as an example. Cinderella was a great band in the 80s, and they got wrapped up into that hair metal, hair band genre, which I don't feel was correct for them because they're a blues-based rock band, a lot closer to like Aerosmith style than to a glam style. But because everybody else was doing it and the record companies needed to sell records, bands like Cinderella were forced to commit to what everybody else was doing, where the teased hair, the glam look, the leather, all that stuff. And unfortunately, a band like Cinderella got pigeonholed as a hair band, when if you put them in any other era, if you put them in the 70s, if you put them, if you listen to them without knowing what they look like, you would not put them in a hair band category based on the music, right? A lot of those songs in another era would not be considered glam in terms of Cinderella. Now, if you want to talk about Warrant, if you want to talk about Poison, if you want to talk about Sleazebees, all these other bands, they're going to get pigeonholed into that definition of glam metal or hair metal or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So when he talks about being pigeonholed like that, that's pretty much what he's referring to, because Tom Kiefer, who now has a legitimate solo career with great music, 2 albums, has worked hard to get away from that label and has tried to do a lot of things in terms of the style of music that he plays and the image that the he has now with his band, to get away from that hair metal tag that has, defined him and others from that generation. And he's done a great job, and it's been a hard work for him to do that. A lot of other people during that time frame have not been able to do that. And I mentioned like the Great Whites, or I mentioned, some of the other bands that have, like the Slaughters and stuff like that. They're still considered part of that element. Now, Butch and South Gang would have got rolled up into that mix. They would be in the same place. But like you said, I think they came into it just late enough to where the shift occurred, and they didn't get stuck, Right, absolutely. I mean, when you talk about Butch Walker, maybe 1 out of 5 fans will mention South Gang, right?
Right.
He was not a recognizable name or face during that period. So when South Gang broke up as a result of the shift in the industry, he was allowed to do a lot of different things that maybe some of the other musicians during that era were not allowed to do, namely produce albums. And, he had a couple of projects prior to his next big one, which was like, let me ask you, did Floyd's Funk Revival come before Marvelous 3, or was that after Marvelous 3?
It was before. It was
Okay.
before the Floyds, and then before the Marvelous Three.
So he had a couple projects that were really different than South Gang. Went back to Georgia, started working with his friend and his wife, and they started this band, Floyd's Funk Revival, and then it later became the Floyds. And then came Marvelous Three, which was incredible, right? I mean, I remember you and the guys that we lived with. I used to live with a rock band, and you would come over, and we all hang out, and you guys be listening to Marvelous Three. I didn't really connect with them back then, but you did. And what were your thoughts on Marvelous Three compared to South Gang?
To be honest with you, South Gang for me was less of an influence. I kind of heard of them and heard Tainted Angel, but I didn't really get into them that much because I think there's just so much out there at the time. It was pretty saturated with that type of music, and honestly, everything started sounding the same, so it was like kind of like, all right, I heard it. Okay, cool. That's a good song. But then when Marvelous Three came out, it was just that like punk pop, or I guess you'd call it punk pop, but it was more pop, but it was power pop. That's what I guess what you'd call it, the power pop, and just like, so it had the balls of like rock, but it was poppy, so it was very catchy. And I've always been about hook and a melody, and some good lyrics, and they were kind of bringing it home for me, so it just really stuck. And then, I think that was the Hey album that kind of caught on. And then I went back and got Mass and Other Problems, and then found the Floyd stuff, so I definitely went backwards before Ready, Sex, Go came out.
Ready, Sex, Go is my favorite from them.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's kind of like, what do they call that? Where you have to pick, what's the movie with the Macaulay Culkin, and you had to pick a kid that you're going to let fall off the cliff.
I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, there's a term for it. I can't think of what you have
Sophie's
to pick your
Choice or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like that. But yeah, so and then so I mean, it just really got me hooked. I went out and freaking bought a PRS guitar. Everything I wrote for about a year sounded like Marvelous Three, and so big influence still is. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. I think Butch and I ran some parallel lives, and for a little while, Like
now you were at you went to Atlanta to see the last Marvelous Three show.
That is correct. We heard it was going to be the last one. I don't know how, because the internet was barely even a thing back then. We heard it was happening, and we made the road trip from Chicago down to Atlanta at Millennium Park or something like that, or Centennial Park, I think it was. It was where they had the bombing back in the 80s. So went down there for the last show, got a recording of it. not at the time, but I subsequently got a recording of it. So a little bit of a fanboy, I guess you'd call it. Hung out at the bars afterwards and ran into Butch and met him a few times since then and stuff like that. So fanboy.
Now they broke up because of the record company, right?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Is there was no support, and they figured that somehow Butch got him out of the deal. Is what my understanding is. He went in and said, "Well, if you're not gonna do this for us, we're gonna break up and get us out of the deal somehow." And that's what happened. So he really got lucky by being able to do that, because I guess the record company just really didn't care at that point.
That's amazing too, because I mean, when you think about music back in the 90s with, especially the late 90s, I mean, obviously the grunge movement was taking place, but it almost like they were a few years before that power punk or that pop punk era of music.
Yeah.
And you know,
sure.
I mean, and it was like, again, they were a little bit ahead of their time, because if you listen to those albums, especially the Hey album and Ready Sex Go, like you scratch your head and like, this should have been gigantic back then. Gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ready Sex Go is kind of a perfect album, you know, start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the 4 songs that start with Little Head and as it Get Over, and then it goes into Grant Park and then, you know, Radio Tokyo's on there, and Cigarette Lighter Love Song. It is pretty much a perfect album for anyone that is looking to buy an album just based on 2 people talking about it. Go get Marvelous 3 Ready Sex Go. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. But yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff was, again, you know, he went from being at the tail end of a huge successful era of music, you know, in terms of rock and glam, to kind of a little too early. The forefront
of the power pop stuff, because after those guys, then came, you know, Bowling for Soup and Lick and Avril Lavigne, which he produced and wrote with all those people after the Marvelous 3. People got wind that he was engineering, writing, and producing this stuff, SR-71 and things like that, and they said, well, you must be the guy that we want working on this record. So he wound up starting to work for all those guys and made a name for himself kind of without trying, you know. I think just word got around that he was the dude to do it with, and everybody started hiring him.
Wasn't it his first solo album that really kind of pushed the door open for him in terms of producing?
His first solo album? I think, no, it was, I'm pretty sure it was the Marvelous 3 single off of the Hey album, because Freak of the Week.
Okay, yeah, Freak of the Week.
Because he wrote, produced, and he did this like in his mom and dad's like antique shop behind the house on a 8-track cassette record, an ADAT machine, which is like prehistoric for these days. Did all this stuff on a cassette, and it made it on the radio. I mean, it was that good. It made it on the radio. I mean, I think they turned around and redid it, but I think the initial thing was that song. That's what kind of blew them up. And from what I understood, they wrote all these tunes, and you know, he was letting the rest of the band listen to it. And Jace, the bass player, he was like, "This is the song," and Butch was like, "No, what are you talking about? This isn't a hit." And Jace was like, "This is the song, man." And they put that one out, and it blew them up. That one song that they did in their little, you know, antique shop. So
amazing.
They did it all themselves. Yeah, crazy.
So then he goes from Marvelous 3 to start producing stuff like you mentioned, and then he starts his solo records. His first solo album is more or less a continuation of Marvelous 3. I mean, if you want to see, you know, the style of music and the way the songs are structured and played, you could consider that, you know, the 4th Marvelous 3 album.
Yeah, it almost seemed like it was either stuff they didn't think would fit, you know, songwriting style wise on a Marvelous 3 album, or you know, stuff that was left over that wasn't finished or something. I'm just, you know, assuming that's what it was, but it was still kind of going down the same path with a little bit of a turn, you know. Started changing a little bit. Butch was getting into more of the singer-songwriter style a little bit on that one.
So then you go from Left of Self-Center, which is his debut, to the album Letters, which you really do see the evolution of him as an artist. And I think it's a gradual progression before that, from Tainted Angel, and then you see the Floyds kind of do something different, and then you see the Marvelous 3, then you see his first solo album, and then he takes a huge turn, as you mentioned, and with Letters, with Best Thing You Never Had, Maybe It's Just Me, all these great songs. Joan. Isn't Joan
on there? Yes.
Yeah. Isn't If on Left of Self-Centered?
That could be.
But the evolution of Butch really is striking with that album. I still listen to it this day. I know he's played less and less from this album as his growth as an artist has continued, but there are so many great songs that he wrote and recorded for this album.
Yeah, and then go out on tour with Avril Lavigne and get a couple of your tunes in some very popular movies, and I just think stuff really took off for him.
Yeah, he was one of the first ones to really start doing that. When I think of TV shows or movie soundtracks, you hear Butch Walker in a few movies around that period of time. You also hear a lot of other singer-songwriters. One that comes to mind is Pete Yorn, that did a lot of that as well. And, that was really the way to get music out at that time. It still is, but that was a new avenue for artists to get more of an audience.
Yeah.
And then he had
didn't he work with Pete Yorn too?
He did work with Pete Yorn on the track Alive on the Nightcrawler album. And a great track off that album. It's the third album by Pete Yorn. Did a great job. Love that song. I don't know if he's done anything else with him. He may have, but I know as in terms of him being credited for, working with Pete Yorn, that's the one off of Nightcrawler.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then we move from Letters. We move to the Let's Go Out Tonight's album.
Yeah.
Which was another change in, his style. Again, always evolving, from album to album. To me, when this album came out, I don't know if it was as strong as he would have liked it to be. I will say, though, that the album has gotten better over time. I have enjoyed this album more as I've, gotten older and really appreciated what he was doing.
Yeah, and there's some good ones on there, man. It really is. It was different, and I think, and that's just the beauty of Butch is he does different stuff on just about every album, and he can do different stuff on every album because he's not tied. Because he's not such a big name where people will, freak out that stuff's different than the last album. But he's got it. He's got it good.
That's one of the things that he's mentioned too. I know people have commented on his social media pages, like, why don't you play more of your hits live? And his response has been, hits? What hits? He's like, he's like, I don't really have any hits, so I'm pretty much free to play whatever I want to play, which I think is great for the audience who is a fan of Butch and his music, because, you may not hear what you want at one show, but see him enough times and you will eventually hear something that you didn't hear before.
Yeah, and never puts on a bad show. I don't know how many times I've seen him, and half of those times was probably with you, and I've never seen a show that was a disappointment. Even just the acoustic solo stuff, it's always awesome.
Yeah, and that's what leads us to our next album, which is where I finally connected with Butch, where I finally found Butch as an artist, and that was on the Sycamore Meadows album. I was going through a divorce, or just gotten divorced, and you had an extra ticket to see him at the House of Blues in Chicago. And, of course, I had known of Butch because of you and because of my past roommates, and I've been exposed to him a little bit, with Marvelous 3. But I really wasn't the fan I am today until I walked in the House of Blues. He started playing the piano with, he played Joan. He played Past Your Place. I'm trying to think what else he did on the piano. He did 3 songs, and then he did Going Back, Going Home. And going through that period of time in my life where there was a lot of uncertainty, how I was going to become a single dad and all the stuff that attributes to it. And I talk a lot about that in some previous episodes. I really connected with that album because there were songs on that album like Vessels there were
Here Comes the Heartache.
Vessels and Here Comes the Heartache, and which really connected with me on so many levels during that period of time. And I just got sucked into Butch after that. I mean, I went and bought everything that, he had or had made, and I just dove right in, and he's been, outside of Led Zeppelin, he's been my favorite artist ever since.
Yep. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you right there.
It really, I mean, I always love that connection you find with an artist who maybe isn't, going through what you're going through at that time, but is writing stuff about what you're going through, and there's this immediate connection to what it is and what is what's going on in your life. And for a good decade, everything that he put out was like just connecting with me on so many different levels. And that's why there's a very personal connection with Butch and I.
And I wonder how he does that, because he'll write a lot of tunes about, breaking up and heartache and, losing the love of your life and, just stuff like that. And the guy's been married for I don't know how long, and has a kid, it's like, where's he getting this material from? But I actually, I go down the rabbit hole on YouTube and watch all these interviews with him and stuff like that. And I guess he said, he'll just look for a story, around. He'll look around and see like a guy on the train with a bag or something like that. And he wonders what's in the bag. And he said, where's he going home to? Is he going home to his family, or did he just lose somebody? And he makes up these stories about him. And that's where he comes up with these songs. And it's like, man, what a genius, I mean, I know that's how songwriters do it, but you would never know if the stuff wasn't about himself, or if it was, he kind of covers it up really well, changes the aspect of it a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, when I read his lyrics, and you're going through, like, when you hear Vessels, you take the bed, I'll take the floor. It's like, wow, like been there, and and it's very. I don't want to say I don't think the word strange, but it's very awesome how you can connect with that with someone who's writing basically what you're going through. And that really, Butch that was in my early 30s when that happened, and I haven't put him down since. Yeah, the next album was I Liked You Better When You Had No Heart, which continued on with incredible songwriting and also more evolution. When you listen to this one, I Liked You Better When You Had No Heart, there was a lot more folksy country rock, a lot more bluegrass in his music. And,
I think that's when he was in Nashville working with a bunch of country artists.
I mean, it still had
I really like it.
Yeah.
I really like it.
I mean, you had She Likes Hair Bands, which is a great song. Pretty Melody.
Trash Days on there.
Trash Days, a great song. And then, Don't You, what's the one that, with the guys from Shovels and Rope?
Don't you think Someone Should Take You Home? Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
That turned me on to Michael Trent, and then subsequently Shovels and Rope, which came from the Films, which toured with Butch, who he stole their bass player. There's so much intermingling of these things, right?
Yeah, that was right. That was the tour with Sycamore Meadows when he had the was it the Films?
The Films opening, yeah.
So
it's crazy how stuff works out.
Yeah, and he was really kind of rolling along there too. I mean, you had Sycamore Meadows, and I Liked You Better When You Had No Heart, and then he had The Spade, which was another great album, which was very uniquely recorded in almost like it was like a single tape, or like a movie has like a single camera, where it keeps recording the scene from one camera angle or one camera, and it almost like there's points in that album where the tape just keeps rolling, or what it seems to be, rolling, and it just ends up seamlessly going from song to song, which was another unique style of recording. And again, more evolution. This had more of a rockabilly type feel to it.
Yeah, and he had a band. He got a band together of all his like favorite dudes.
The Black Widows, which was a great
different.
band.
Yeah, it wasn't just Butch doing half the stuff himself or hiring studio musicians. They got a band together, and I guess they played all that stuff live in a little club, like in Santa Monica or something like that. They'd get together and set up. They didn't have roadies and sound guys and all. They just go in this little basement pub and set up their shitty little PA every Monday night and rock out and just get these songs down, and just people would show up. And I think they did a bunch of the recording there and mixed it in with the studio stuff, because I think a lot of that crowd noise and people laughing and talking and yelling and stuff, I think it's from those shows. I'm not sure, but I'm just kind of putting pieces together in my own head, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had just great energy on that album. I mean, that and he captured something. He captured magic with the Black Widows. I think obviously Sycamore Meadows really connected with me. I Liked You Better When You Had No Heart is a great seeing the evolution of the artist and more great songwriting and get more connection. But I think The Spade was where it all like came together with who he was recording with at the time. And it just, I mean, I took was it this tour or the tour before? I took my son to his first concert. I think it was on I Liked You Better When You Had No Heart, because that was in Kentucky. My son was 5, and it was an all ages show, and we decided to make a run. What's that?
I was with you.
Yeah. No, I'm just telling for the audience sake. I took my son to his first concert, 5 years old, all ages show in Kentucky with the band Loxley opening up. And he had an absolute
Loxley
blast.
Was great.
Loxley was another great band that he had tour with them too.
Was great.
Yeah. But I really think with The Spade, it really just the energy all came together with what they were playing on stage, because it was the same band from that tour on I Liked You Better When You Had No Heart that was on the Spade tour or the Spade album.
Yeah.
And it just was magic.
Yeah, it really was. And the musicianship in that band, everybody was amazing, and they all had personalities. It was a great band. I'd love to see them get back together again, but who knows,
Yeah.
I never expect anything from Butch, because he's always, zigging when you think he's going to be zagging.
Yes. And then, he took a bit of a break after the Spade too, right? And then his next follow-up.
Yeah, it's when his dad died and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's dealing with that, probably producing Panic at the Disco and Weezer and Fall Out Boy and stuff like that,
Yeah. He was hard at work with Jake Sinclair at the time, doing a lot of different things. I know his father passed, which he was very open about too, which he's gone on now to start. I think his father died of pancreatic cancer, complications from pancreatic cancer, and he has started his charity, which he does shows for once or twice a year that you've gone out to as well, out in, was it Topanga Canyon or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, Topanga,
And he does a lot of work. What's the name of his foundation again?
Autumn Leaves.
Yes, Autumn Leaves. And I think he did that EP in between a few good songs that were on there, like 5 or 6, and it was kind of like a lot of it was just kind of, getting out the blues that, the death of his father had, and the wanted to have that outlet that a lot of creative people need when something
that was Peachtree Battle.
Peachtree Battle, yes,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, again, it was about just getting, some music out and having that outlet for him after the loss of his father, who, he talks about all the time, took him to his first concert, which was a Kiss concert. He tells the story about the guy spilling the drink on his dad's leather jacket and all that. And so, It always, it always sounded like his parents were pretty supportive of his career path and his journey, which, is, as someone who, understands the support that, when your parents support you doing something, it makes your life so much easier. But it sounds like his mother and father were always, maybe not happy about his choices, but definitely supported his choices, which is great.
Yeah. They seem very close too,
Yeah. So then he went to Afraid of Ghosts, which was the Ryan Adams produced album. The title track on there. It had Chrissy Hynde on there as well.
Chrissy Hynde.
And
Bet on Fire.
Bet on Fire, which
Father's
is great.
Day.
Yes. That was a very, very deep record for him. That must have been a hard album to record because of a lot of it was after his, written after his father had passed. He gave up, producing the album to Ryan Adams. It was a very different, stylistically, again, more evolution from the artist. Just a great album.
Yeah, it was definitely dark. Definitely a dark. Even that was the period of his live shows where you could tell he was really affected by the loss of his father. It was the shows were very somber and almost sad. They weren't as rocking and upbeat as they typically were, but still great just the same. And you wound up kind of going back to his old ways after that anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last time I saw him was when you didn't make it. You were out of town, and he did the Tom Petty medley with I missed that one. Just a great show. But then after Afraid of Ghosts came Stay Gold, which I thought was another great record too as well. More of a rock type of feel to it, more of a Petty type of feel to the record.
Definitely.
One of my favorite songs that he's ever recorded is the song Descending, which I love. It's the duet with
Ashley Monroe. Ashley Monroe was on that one.
Yeah, she did a wonderful job with that song. There was the title track "Stay Gold." There's a lot of
Wilder in the Heart, East Coast Girl.
Yeah,
Record Store.
Yes. Yes, I mean, just great albums. A lot of Springsteen-esque, Petty-esque type album, type songs.
Yeah,
but it was just yeah. I mean, you can't say
enough. It didn't do it for me at first, but now I listen to it all the time. I'm like, because every album is different. Even the Let's Go Out, I'm like, what is this? It's just like such a weird. Well, not I don't want to say weird, but different production, and but then after now there's songs on there I got to hear all the time.
Yeah, I mean, so, when I hear Butch, instantly connects with me, and I know he has a double album coming out. I think in February, which I'm really excited to see. I mean,
is it February? I haven't heard a date yet.
Yeah,
but, that would be awesome.
I was having this conversation with Crash Crafton the other day, who's been on the show, and Richie Kotzen and Butch Walker both have albums coming out in February, and they are both double albums.
Nice.
So you may not see or talk to me in the month of February because I'm just going to be absorbing 2 Goliath albums.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, man, it's been Stay Gold came out in 2016. Yeah. So it's been it's going on 4 years since we've had anything new that is a real album, and not the Christmas album, which is awesome. It's late December right now. I just got finished of 3 weeks listening to Butch's Christmas album every day, and some with the demo one that he released. So none of that counts. It's great to have and be able to listen to, but I know he's been busy with. I think he just finished up Weezer's new album that's not out yet, and Green Day's new album. So man, talk about getting your hands in everything that's going to be coming out and that everybody's going to be hearing. Got a good life, man.
Yeah,
to be Butch.
It does. But I mean, just what his music has meant to me on a personal level. What has it meant to you?
Wow, what has it meant to me? It's I really feel like Butch and I were born like 5 days apart, so we're both November of '69, and like I was on the same path as him. I just think he started a little earlier. He says, his parents took him to that Kiss concert when he was 8, and he, wanted to switch to guitar from playing drums, which I didn't know until recently. So he was already playing at 8 years old. I was still playing with G.I. Joes and Star Wars figures. He was already into music, and but I started playing and got into original bands and toured a bit, and we're trying to get signed, and where he was just really balls deep in the industry and writing and playing and working really hard. I think he had blinders on, trying to get himself to that point where I was a little more lackadaisical and just maybe not as serious, and didn't know if it was going to be something I was going to do, where he knew, so it's almost like a life lesson. The guy wrote a book and has had a movie on him and things like that. And I read these things and watch these things, and I say to myself, if I just would have worked harder, I could have been just like Butch, So it's just so relatable to that, and and even like now, it's like just hearing some of the songs and getting the inspiration from them, musically or just life lessons,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you listen to his lyrics, or when I listen to his lyrics, there's that connection to, what's going on in my life or whatever. And not too many artists really do that for me. And that's why I appreciate him so much. And what I really also appreciate, too, because we've seen him live so many times, whether we've gone to Kentucky to see him, we've gone to Indiana to see him, Wisconsin, wherever. I always admire how passionate he looks up there, and how he looks like this is the first gig he's ever playing, or it's the last gig he's going to play. It's just like he just has an energy about him. He gets the crowd into the music. I mean, if you've never been to a Butch show, I highly recommend it. It's a great time. There's a lot of sing-along back and forth with Butch as the show progresses. You never know what he's going to do. You never know what he's going to, perform. He has such a great catalog, an unknown catalog to the casual music fan, but a great catalog to the Butch Walker fans and society. His music is really personal to a lot of his fan base, and I don't know if that still occurs these days with the new music that's coming out. I'm sure it does to a certain extent to people, unbeknownst to me, but it's just, he's probably going to tour next year. My suggestion is go see him. Don't even worry about listening to his stuff before you go see him. Just go see him, and I guarantee you'll have just a wonderful time. The other thing that I really appreciate too is that he works on so many different projects with so many different artists, and he just has enthusiasm for all of it. He it's almost like he pours his heart into everything all the time, and he's excited about it all the time. And then when he works on his own stuff, he's just euphoric when it comes to talking about it and playing it.
Yeah, it's so funny because we just went out at the Talpanga thing for Autumn Leaves in November, and so they had all these musicians out there. Jacob Dylan, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but the singer from Better Than Ezra, who I guess those guys are buddies, and he just finished producing his album. Who else? Andrew McMahon from Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness was out there. Paris Jackson, who, believe it or not, they did a song together for a movie soundtrack. And the songs are really good. I don't know if you've heard it yet. Let me see if I can find it. It is called. It's running for so long. Let me see. Trying to find out who did it with them. It's a couple people. Sorry. All right. Parker Ainsworth, Butch Walker, Paris Jackson, and I can't see the last person. But it's a great tune. Butch isn't singing on it. I'm guessing he's playing guitar because it sounds like his style. And it's a super cool tune. But so anyway, back to the point. All these people are there, and they're all playing. It's kind of like Butch Walker and Friends, and they're raising money from for the foundation. And everybody goes on. Everybody's really good, and then Butch comes on and just blows them all away with his live show. And that was the thing that was, that was the most surprising part, because the energy and the enthusiasm he put into everything was just far above and beyond what everybody else was doing.
Another thing too about Butch too as well is that his book, Drinking with Strangers, is a must-read for all music fans. There is a story. Yeah. There's a story in there about him, Tommy Lee, and a helicopter ride that is really enjoyable.
Right. That's right. It's hilarious.
So go get the book and read that, because it's an awesome story. I know he's got some stuff in there about Nikki Sixx, or maybe in interviews he's talked about his relationship with Nikki Sixx. He's got, he did some producing on the Tommy Lee solo album as well. So he's got a connection there with Motley Crue. But, he's got his hands in pretty much a lot of things that people really don't realize. And he's just a great artist, a great producer, a great performer. Can't say enough about Butch Walker. I highly recommend his music. Go out. I mean, if I were to start with a record to recommend, I would start out with The Spade, or I would start out with Sycamore Meadows. Those would be my two recommendations.
Yeah. Right.
Those would be my two. And then, pick and choose whatever you want to do. I would actually also pick up one of those Marvelous 3 albums too as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, cool, man. This has been fun. Always great to talk about Butch. Always great to talk to you. An artist,
you as well, sir.
Yes, an artist that we hope, more people listen to, more people absorb his music, and that's Butch Walker. Thanks again, Chris, for being on the show. I appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you.
Once again, everybody, it is Jay Scott. This is The Hook Rocks, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast. Have a happy and safe holiday season, and we will chat again soon. Thank you.
% of households that start the year with Peloton are still active a year later.
92% because of a bike?
Not just bikes. We also make treadmills and rowers.
Oh, let me guess, for elite athletes only, right?
Nope. It doesn't matter if you're an avid exerciser or new to working out. Peloton can help you achieve your fitness goals. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try Peloton bikes, tread or row risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.